In this gospel account, Jesus had it summarized the many commandments of the Old. And when I say the Old, about the Old Testament, the Jews had it, the many commandments, regulations, guidelines, and many others. And Jesus summarized them into two. When asked, what is the greatest? Of so many commandments, what is the greatest, teacher? There are so many of them. Then Jesus said, love God, that is the first. And he makes it clear, first, love God. Second, love your neighbor. Love God first, then love your neighbor as yourself. Love God first. He made it first. It's not as simple as you have a God to love first because you're speaking of God. And love your neighbor only second because that is your neighbor. He or she is a human being. If you look at the tenor of it, the nature of it, there is much than just about God and neighbor. When you say love your neighbor second and only second, because to love your neighbor, to love in human terms, is this. When we love, that's part of loving. We own and possess what and whom we love. That is loving in human terms. That is loving involving what is around you, your neighbors, and the neighborhood. When you say you love, you want to own and possess what and whom you love. Sakto ba ko? Do you agree sa akong gisulti? That when you say you love, I love you, I love this, I want to have this as my own. I love you, I love this, I want to call this my own because I love this. You own, have, and possess for yourself what and whom you love. That is loving your neighbor. And that is second. When you say love God first, when you say loving involving God, it's not about possessing for oneself. Because when you say love God, it's about you being possessed by God. It's letting go of yourself to be possessed by Him. When you say love God, it's not about you owning, having, and possessing for oneself, or it's the other way around. It's about you offering yourself to be owned by God. That is why it's clear with Jesus. Love God first. Learn this loving first, that you have a God who owns you. Learn this loving first, that you be possessed by God, so that to possess will fall on the right place. If only we learn to let go of ourselves to be possessed by God, there's nothing wrong with the second. And there could nothing be wrong with the second. Possessing and owning because of love, it's okay, it's fine. So long as it's second. First, learn to be possessed and owned by God. As you continue this Eucharistic celebration, on this memorial of the martyrs, St. Charles and companions, that is the kind of love in right place. These martyrs, they learn to offer themselves because they believe their selves and their lives are owned by God. That's why it's easy for them to say, Lord, I offer my life to you because you own me. Love God first. Allow yourselves to be possessed and owned by God. So that loving your neighbor, loving the things of this world, will fall on right places and in the right direction.